proper testing labs which should be established. So he identified this problem. In fact, in one of his interview, he said he was compassionate toward people who are waiting outside the hospital for hours to see the doctor. Because before even seeing the doctor, you can identify what problem you have if you are properly diagnosed in the diagnostic center. So he identified this problem, his heart went for that, and today 2007 was 70 crore company, today it is 200 crore company. And he said, many people when they asked him, did you do your management of business administration? He says, in Coimbatore, there is 3 letters, that is MBA is already there within me. That is the reason I am already a successful entrepreneur. That's how he actually places himself. There is a one of the recent time I met an entrepreneur, very interesting. This is also a process innovation. We all like biryani. They say that this entrepreneurs say that everybody likes biryani. Either it is a vegetable biryani or a non-vegetarian biryani with any kind of a cuisine or any kind of a non-vegetarian item. So many people like biryani. So the problem is when we wanted to have biryani, we feel like having biryani. When we have biryani and come out, we feel about our fat content because of the oil in that biryani. Here is the people who runs in Charminar is an entrepreneurship initiative where they are bringing zero oil biryani. It's a process innovation. So here is a person who have identified the market for this and they are able to cater that. Vidya and Lakshman, they are 2 people who are doing it from Chennai. So this does not require great minds, it just requires identification of a particular problem. There are a set of people who identify the problem, just walk away. There are a set of people who think about the problem and think about the solution too. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. Alright. One more entrepreneur. Ampere Vehicles, Hemlata Annamalai. She wrote a mail to Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata receives 10,000 mails, 20,000 mails. But Ratan Tata picked up her mail and funded her enterprise, Ampere Vehicles. Single reason, her mail was substantiated by the adequate data and the market capability of the electrical scooters. And she compared herself with India, with China. China, how it started with the electrical scooters, today how it is being performed. She wrote a mail and she got crores of funding from Ratan Tata, and Ratan Tata is an advisor for her. All said and done, when Ratan Tata invests in a company, that means you should understand what kind of an enterprise it should be, what kind of a scaling up it will happen, and she's working day and night to realize that dream. So, Arunachalam Muruganandam, and we know about him, and he has been speaking about, he was also a speaker in various forums of our time. He's an inventor and a social entrepreneur. He invented the low-cost sanitary napkins. Again, this entrepreneur his heart went for the rural area where people are not using the sanitary napkins, and he identified that. And today, every month he's outside the country to implement this innovation outside India, the low-cost sanitary napkins. And he has also been awarded the highest civilian award by the government of India. Roma Roca, her heart went for the deaf and dumb. She identified that deaf and dumb people are really capable of having a skilled labor. So, a abled person went on to learn the sign language. She went to a school and asked the school to teach her the sign language. They said, you are not eligible because you are not deaf and dumb, so we will not be able to teach you. She paid to a tutor and she learned the sign language, and today she has employed a lot of people who are deaf and dumb in her business, and she says they are more productive than the able person because they don't gossip. If they have to gossip through sign language, and she knows the sign language and everybody around knows the sign language, and they are more productive and they don't look at Facebook or there is a way of putting across how the productivity is actually increased. Now, she runs a profitable enterprise. Now, the profitable enterprise is a byproduct of the passion what she had. She wanted to employ the deaf and dumb, and accordingly the business today is an incidental process of her passion. So, there are a lot of examples which we have. Why am I explaining this? All this is an innovation. All this will come under the incubation center. Innovation can be a process innovation. It does not necessarily be a product innovation. In many cases where I told you, it's mostly a process innovation, where it can be Kovai Paramudurcholai, or it can be the Roma Roca story where she learned the sign language and empowered the deaf and dumb, or in many cases which I told you, it's all process innovation. That is also coming under the startup program. Don't just think that it is only a product. Invention should happen. For example, here Arunachal Muruganandam invented a low-cost sanitary napkin. That comes under the product innovation. Then the first thing which I told you is a process innovation. Then gram power is again a process innovation, or maybe he is able to start up on his own and then he is able to cater that problem. So he has looked at to optimize the renewable energy through various renewable energy sources. So these are all process innovation which come under the Startup India program. And if you look at India is now with almost 10,000 plus startups totally, and last year alone there were 4,200 startups, and India ranked third in the startup after US and UK. And we are set to go more because of one reason of the youth population. The youth is full of ideas, full of energy, and there is a inadequacy in the country which is going to act as an impetus for the youth to think bigger. Then what is the role of this 40% of the mentors, the 40% of the population? They're going to be mentor because they carry a rich experience. It can be an advice, it can be a good advice, or it can be the experience they have. Anything can be anything which can add value to the 60%. This combination of 60% youth and 40% of senior citizens, or rather the senior people. When I say youth population, it covers age group of 25 years to 35 years. That population is 60%, and the persons who are aged more than 35 years of age is considered to be the mentors. So this combination of population, this demographic dividend is not there anywhere around the world. Be it US, be it Japan, be it Taiwan, which I spoke, they don't have this advantage. So when this advantage is there, definitely we are going to be the fastest growing economy, and we will be the developed economy in the short while. All right. So initially, the startup cycle, it starts with pre-startup phase and startup phase and growth phase. Where is the government exactly helping from the policy document? The government helps in all the three stages. That's what they have projected in the action policy. In the pre-startup phase, where they are talking about you going and approaching an incubation center, and the incubation center enabling you and then giving you the ideas how to fine-tune your idea, or rather I would call that incubation center as tinkering labs. You have some kind of an idea, a raw idea, you put across to the incubation center, their mentors there or the experience what they have, they come back and tell you, look, this is what has to be done, already this idea is tested, if you are going to implement this, it can be a failure, all this advice is going to happen. Now, there is a report which talks about startups failing. You know why many startups actually fail? Because they have not been brainstormed. They think their business has a potential. So they immediately start up the business without an idea. And believe me, all the startups which are successful, definitely it would have been brainstormed through an incubation center. And Thai has a better experience. They have been involved with various incubation center, and they have been creating the wave of startups around the world, in fact. So this, whatever the startups which have been brainstormed by the incubation center will never fail. That's where in the pre-startup phase, government says the incubation centers will be there. Only when you get the certificate from the incubation center, we will approve your project as startup, and all the benefits will follow. So today, if you want to avail the benefit of a startup in an incentive given by the government, that means you should approach the incubation center. Where is this incubation center situated? Should I pay fees? Most of the times, there is no fees involved, because it is either run by the college or a university or a PG college, a post-graduation college like IIT or any reputed college. It can be run by a private people also. Even Thai has an incubation center is what I understand. Thai has an incubation center, sir? No, but it is tie up with the incubation centers. So Thai has an tie up with the incubation centers. In fact, IITM Research Park is with a lot of incubation centers, what I understand. So there are a lot of incubation centers which can be a great connect for you. You go there, meet the experienced incubators, they are going to teach you and then put it to a mentor. So the hand-holding by the government, or rather the government push in the policy is from the pre-startup phase itself. So when you are actually incubated properly, that there can never be failure in most of the cases unless there is an external factor or disruptive solution coming up. So second thing, in the startup phase, what is the problem the entrepreneur today face? They face either the problem of funding or they face the problem of incentive from the government. Both are being addressed in the action policy. Then 3, in the growth phase. In the growth phase, ideally no support is needed. That's the reason the startup policy itself says we will categorize as a startup only for 5 years. So they expect you to grow from the fifth year onwards, which according to me, as a policy spec, according to me, 5 years period is not enough. It has to be extended further, because initial 5 years will be a great struggle for an entrepreneur. You can ask any entrepreneur, when did their business scale up? On an average, they'll tell you 8 years or 7 years or maybe 6 years. Most of the business can be successful in the fifth year onwards, but it is a real struggle. Ideally, they should fix some turnover, or rather they should come back and evaluate the business and then extend the incentives. They cannot blindly say 5 years, because each business vary. The gestation period of a manufacturing entrepreneur is different from the technology entrepreneur, the education initiative, or a social enterprise. So accordingly, the government fixing a turnover or a number of years may not be suitable uniformly for all sectors. There need to be a brainstorming that has to happen. There should be a panel to evaluate it, which will say further 2 years discretionarily we can provide. So this has to happen on a fair basis. Definitely the government is looking at all these things, because it is a beginning. Any new beginning, just a beginning, it is not an end. So the beginnings will evolve over a period of time. So it's better to not have anything, to at least have something to begin with. That is your startup policy today. Let me start with the action plan. This action plan was brought out by the Prime Minister on January 16, 2016. In fact, in the opening remark, he said, I see startups, technology and innovations as exciting and effective instrument for India's transformation. What he said is absolutely right, and all the people are working towards it already. But very interestingly, he started with all these questions. These questions are something very, very important. He said, what if your idea is not just an idea? What if it sees light? What if it's really born? What if you can get someone to believe in it and help you nurture it? What if you can set a clear path for it? What if it can actually travel? What if it grows and blooms? What if the whole world embraces it? And what if your idea is not just an idea? So he tried to talk about idea. So idea is all about scaling up. Idea is all about passion. So he told, just start thinking about the ideas, the creative ideas, which will scale up over a period of time. So the startup ecosystem is already there in the country. That is the reason we have already had a lot of success stories. I tried to bring out few success stories: Flipkart or Snapdeal or Paytm or Ola or Oyo, Grofers, Redbus.in and Urban Ladder. In fact, in one of the statements where the Prime Minister made, he spoke about Oyo Room specifically, run by the 22 years the entrepreneur. He said he has more rooms than Taj hotels. He has about 12,000 rooms. Taj Hotel has 9,000 rooms. 9,000 rooms. Here is not comparing the property being held, but the facility provided. Today you go to the Oyo room, you have the access of 12,000 rooms. Whether it is occupied or not occupied in any other country. I was in Malaysia. Oyo room is so famous in all the hotels. Everywhere Oyo is there. We don't even see what hotels are today, what brand of hotels are today. But if you are able to get a block of hotel through Oyo, then we go for the hotel. So ideally, he has disrupted the entire hotel industry. So initially, if you have to go to abroad, then you have to browse about it, or rather you speak to the tourist organizer, and then now today you can book the hotel anywhere, from any airport, any place. So I think he has disrupted this. So this has happened even before the incentive has been provided by the government. That means the energy to do the business is already there in the entrepreneur, but the government encourages because to ensure that the youth becomes more powerful and they come with a lot of ideas. That's the reason the government is encouraging. So ideally, if you're going to ask someone what is a startup company, they will tell you it's a young company that is just beginning to develop, usually small and initially financed and operated by a handful of founders or one individual. These companies offer a product or service that is not currently being offered elsewhere in the market, or that the founders believe is being offered in an inferior manner. Note, while most startups we hear about these days are technology driven, it is not necessary condition. In fact, I was just addressing about the Startup India, Stand Up India policy in Tirupur. When I was addressing, what was running in the audience was, I was speaking about Flipkart, Ola, Amazon and then things like that. What was running in their mind is not about that. They were thinking about the textile innovation. They were thinking about knitwear innovation. Somebody came up and asked, sir, you are speaking about all these things, whether our industry is not covered. Ideally, their industry is also covered. But we are so moved up by all this app thing, we keep speaking about it. But Tirupur entrepreneur says, sir, I create new sample every year. That new sample which I go and promote outside India, and then I don't apply for a patent. But still I create new sample every year with a new combination of threads and things like that. Whether it will come under the startup. I said, probably yes, but you should approach the incubation center. If this sample is actually coming under the new process or new innovation or new product, that has to be judged by the incubator. And then you get the certificate from the incubator, then go to the government and apply to the DIPP, and then look at making your company or enterprise as a startup, eligible for startup incentive. So it is not just a technology, it is not just your manufacturing, it is also other sectors. Even social cost is covered under startup. A social cost with a new process innovation is definitely going to come under the startup enterprise. In fact, I was just, and I think TIE only organized the event with Mohammed Yunus in Chennai, in Taj Connemara. In fact, when he started the opening discussion, I was there in the meeting. When he started the discussion, the meeting, he said, the social business should be with the engine called profit. Because when a social business, we expect, or rather many people expect that if somebody is doing a social service, we expect him to be with old clothes and then kind of that black and white feel. No, that is not the case. A social business has to be more profitable because somebody is utilizing their time to reshape the entire country in different fashion. So the garbage what we are doing, somebody is picking it up. So I think he should run a profitable enterprise. That's what he was talking about, the profit engine being there in the. So when there is a social entrepreneur, when he is going to bring in a new product, for example, Arunachala Muruganandam brought in a new product altogether, low cost sanitary napkins, or new process. For example, there is a Swachh Bharat program going on in the country, and somebody brings in a cleaning process which is new technology or a new thing, then that is also coming under the Startup India program. And new technology, somebody is becoming an aggregator for collecting garbage, then again that aggregator business is also a social entrepreneurship. So this is also covered under the Startup India program, not just necessarily the technology companies. Now, what exactly? Being a chartered accountant, it is my duty to interpret the definition the way the layman should understand. So now, anything in our country is defined and with a limited period, and after the limited period, there is a challenge for the person who took up that benefits, be it your tax holiday benefits which the government gives. But however, the government has tried to rationalize the definition and kind of help the entrepreneurs. The definition goes like this. It says startup means an entity incorporated or registered in India not prior to 5 years with annual turnover not exceeding 25 crores. Simple. Today you start a enterprise. What is an enterprise? We will discuss later. If you start an enterprise today, from today onwards, you incorporate it today, and until 5 years, you can be called a startup. Now, to categorize yourself as a startup, what is the process you should undertake? First, you should approach the incubator, and the incubator should give a certificate saying that your project is a new process or a new product or a new service. Then you take the certificate, go to the interministerial board. There is a board which is formed under the DIPP. That is, DIPP comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, headed by our Honorable Minister Nirmala Sitharam. Under our ministry, the DIPP comes. Go to the ministry, apply your project. The interministerial board is a panel who will evaluate your project. Then they will categorize your company or enterprise or a partnership firm or LLP. When I say enterprise, your startup can be a company, a private limited company, or limited liability partnership, or a registered partnership firm. In case of a company, it is registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In case of LLP also, it is registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In case of partnership, if you are unregistered, you will not be eligible. So you have to register a partnership firm and then approach it. You can adopt either LLP or a company or a registered partnership firm along with a certificate of new innovation. New innovation may be a new product or a new process or a new service. Take that along with your enterprise, go to the interministerial board, and interministerial board approves it. Then you are eligible for the startup. When you are categorized as a startup, then the eligibility follows you. What are the benefits in the startup we will discuss shortly, but this is the route of categorizing yourself as the startup. In this case, the government is not just like that gives you the benefit of startup. Today you decide to float a business, tomorrow you will not be categorized as a startup. And this is definitely on a fast track basis. The government has assured it is on the fast track basis. Alright. Second criteria is the turnover should not exceed 25 crores. So today I registered the enterprise either as a LLP or a partnership firm or a company, and within a period of 2 years or 3 years I make 25 crores. Then you are out of startup benefit. Now the next question, as a policy analyst, which company will make 25 crores within 5 years? So they say, in case out of blue moon, if you make 25 crores within 5 years, then you are out of the startup, you are out of startup enterprise, and accordingly benefits of startup will not come to you. That's what they say. So for which companies, innovation, development and deployment or commercialization of new products, process or services driven by technology or intellectual property. It can be technology driven or intellectual property. So when I say intellectual property, in India, most of the people actually don't go for registering their intellectual property. Either there are two reasons to it, and one is the time it takes to register in India. Two, we at the point of startup we may not have money even to look up registering. So because of that, we are losing our technology or our process to somebody else in the future who will have the right because he has taken the patent on it. So I think patent registration, patent regime is also taken care by the government under the present startup initiative, where they say you can register your patent or intellectual property within 90 days. I think it's a good time. So for example, you decide you have got the new innovation now, you can go and apply for a patent of a product or a design or a service and trademark and all the formalities, and the government is going to support you with the legal lawyers and things like that. It is shaping up. The services are being shaping up in the government. It's all in the beginning. It is not complete. It's all in the beginning. It's all evolving. So they will help you to register within 90 days and then get the patent, and you can go for the commercialization of your product after that. Then provided that such entity is not formed up by splitting up or reconstruction of a business already in existence. Now these people wanted to curtail the planning opportunity. Maybe as a chartered accountant, I will say to a client, you already have a business, please demerge the business and you can go to the incubation center, and why already existing business you demerge, make it as a division, go and take the benefit of startups. That can't happen. It should be altogether a new company and a new innovation, new product and new service which has to go through the process of approval. Then provided also that an entity shall cease to be a startup if its turnover for the previous year has exceeded 25 crores or it has completed 5 years. Provided further that a startup shall be eligible for tax benefits only after it has obtained the certification from the interministerial board. As I told you, moment the interministerial board approves it, then only you will be eligible for all the benefits of the government. Alright. The next important question the participant asked is, I already started my enterprise before 2 years. I am in the 3rd year of operation. I have not exceeded 25 crores, but I am in the 3rd year. I have 4th year and 5th year with me, the balance years. Whether am I eligible? Can I now go and approach the interministerial board and categorize myself as a startup and take the benefit for next 2 years? As per the frequently asked questions published by the DIPP in the month of April, they have clarified saying that yes, you can apply. Yes, you can apply. It is all there in the website of the DIPP. So if you go and approach, you can still, for the balance 2 years, you can categorize yourself as the startup. So there is a process which I have mentioned, flowchart for eligibility. This process, when the policy document came, there was some gap in that. Still I tried to retain the same, but now it is being fine-tuned. Now, first it must be a private limited company or LLP or a registered partnership firm. 2, the company should not exceed more than 5 years. Then 3, the turnover of the company should not exceed 25 crores and should commercially develop an innovative product. Then what is the third thing? There is having a company or an enterprise or LLP is a secondary thing, but you should have an innovative product. So commercially innovative product. Then if you have that, then you have to approach you have to get the certificate from the incubation center. There is a mistake in the policy itself. It was mentioned as interministerial board. You cannot approach the interministerial board before approaching the incubation center. So you have to obtain the certificate from the incubation center, that is recommendation letter by incubator in postgraduate Indian college. 2. Recommendation letter by incubator funded by the government of India. 3. Recommendation letter by incubator recognized by the government of India. 4. Is funded by an incubation fund, angel fund, private equity fund, accelerator, angel network, and then as patent granted by Indian Patent and Trademark Office related to business. Now, if you satisfy A condition, that it should be a private limited company or LLP or a registered partnership firm, and B condition, that your turnover is not exceeding 25 crores, and C condition, that your number of years has not exceeded 5 years. If you satisfy all three, then you can approach the incubation center. After you approach the incubation center, if the incubation center gives an approval, or any of these people in F gives an approval, then you can take the project to the interministerial board and get it approved as the enterprise as the startup enterprise. Now, the second route available is, if you have got the intellectual property registered, a patent registered, it substantiates that your product is scalable, or rather your product is commercially you can take it up. So then, if you have got the patent, then you can directly approach the interministerial board, show the patents to them and say, this is my company, this is my patent, this is a new product or new innovation or new service which I am trying to scale up commercially. Then the interministerial board will give you the approval and you can run the company with the startup benefits. Now, what is so much in the startup benefit that they are putting so much condition? In India, if you have to avail something, then you have to go through so many conditions. The cost involved in by planning for the incentive is much more higher than the benefit what we get. But here is what the government says, look, we are trying to give you everything through a proper online mechanism, and everybody will accept that cost for availing an incentive is much more higher. I have seen as a chartered accountant, definitely that is higher. Now, so looking at this, the government is saying, in case of a startup, we have developed a portal, they have started this portal, startup.gov.in, where the registration of your name, applying, everything it happens through online. In fact, they have gone ahead to give the list of all the angel funding agencies, private equity firms in the alphabetical order with the phone number, with the representative and the name. So there is a kind of small worrisome for the chart